I stop. Ice what?
Whoa, whoa, baby, poke it out, poke it out, poke it out.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing the New Orleans Saints vs. Atlanta Falcons victory lap, which has quickly become one of my favorite series. Even though we only did one episode because when we played the San Francisco 49ers, it felt like more of a loss than a win because the fact that everybody and their mom said, you know what? Guys, I think this is the type of game that let's get hurt. We all seen it. That's why there was no victory lap that week. But now, oh my. Now that the Atlanta Falcons got diced up by a tight end, we're definitely going to be talking about how shit these dudes are and how great of a feeling it is to beat them in front of everybody. And before you say, dude, it was a 1 p.m. game, nobody watched it. Go look at the broadcast map, dude. Everybody that was watching 1 p.m. games saw that ass whooping. 24-9 in front of everyone. It just feels so great. Now, before we get into this video, which of course is victory lap as I previously stated, please go ahead and do me a ginormous favor and leave a subscription on the channel. It helps me grow. It helps the channel. It makes me feel better, okay, man? Just go ahead and leave a subscription. It doesn't hurt you at all. It doesn't hurt your wallet. So I appreciate you, and let's go ahead and get into the victory lap, which is against the Atlanta Falcons. So before we get into what happened this game, let's go ahead and look at some history that came from this game, okay? I know we did this against the Buccaneers, but there was a little bit of history made here that has to do with not only the rivalry, but with players in general, so I think it's going to be pretty nice to go over that. So the first tidbit of history I have here to go over is that the New Orleans Saints are now 5-1 in their last 6 games played against the Atlanta Falcons. The Saints are in what seems like a new era of dominance over the Atlanta Falcons in this rivalry, and with Taysom's performance yesterday, it seems like this era of dominance is in good hands on some all-state shit. He had a great game. It looked amazing. He really demonstrated his Swiss Army knife type of skill, and we'll go over that more shortly. Another piece of history that's tied into that record right there is that the Saints are now only trailing the Atlanta Falcons in the overall series between these two teams by 3 games. The Atlanta Falcons have a 53-50 lead, and if we know anything about the Atlanta Falcons, that lead is in trouble. The Falcons used to be way better than the New Orleans Saints back before 90% of the people that watch this channel, and me included, were even born, and they padded back then. But the Saints are in position to storm back and take that overall series lead right out of the grimy grips of the players that come from that dookie hole known as the city of Atlanta. The New Orleans Saints showed that they were the better team yesterday, even without the most important player on their offense in Drew Brees, and debatably the most important player on their defense in Marshawn Lattimore, excluding players like Demario Davis and Cameron Jordan. So I don't know what other argument is to be had here, man. Another little piece of history we got to get into is something that makes me laugh so damn hard. It's that the Saints have plagued Matt Ryan's nightmares. He gets uncomfortable every time he comes on that field, and it's definitely a big reason as to why I enjoy watching Saints versus Falcons games so much. The Saints have had a total of 17 sacks within the last 2 games alone against the Atlanta Falcons. That is not only fantastic, but it has attributed to this stat right here. Matt Ryan is 0-9 against the New Orleans Saints when he's sacked more than 3 times. The New Orleans Saints have showed if you want to beat Matt Ryan, literally just hit him, and it's instantaneously game over. 3 or more sacks guarantees you a win, boys. Another little interesting piece of history here that I genuinely thought was extremely interesting, and that not a lot of people knew before it came out in that broadcast that we were watching the game on yesterday. Some of you might have seen it, but this was the first game since 2006 that Drew Brees and Matt Ryan were not the 2 starting quarterbacks for. That shows you the longevity of these 2 quarterbacks as far as leading these teams into battle goes. It's insane, but sadly Drew Brees had to break that streak, and Taysom Hill kind of stepped in, and I'm not really sure who that was on the field yesterday. I mean, he had the accuracy of Drew Brees, but that dude was looking pretty strong and pretty fast. I don't know. We'll just have to find out. Now, with our historical little pieces out of the way, let's go ahead and look at what our offense did on Sunday. And this is going to be me looking more at Taysom Hill than anybody else because this was a huge evaluation week for Taysom Hill. We were all sitting here waiting nervously, seeing what this dude can do. It was blowing our minds to smithereens. But it's okay. Taysom delivered. Taysom was 18 for 23 with 233 passing yards. He should have had a 50-plus touchdown to go along with that, but Eric McCoy held, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Let's take a look at Taysom's passing chart here. So, Behind the line of scrimmage, Taysom Hill was 4 out of 5 with 45 yards. 0 to 9 yards downfield, Taysom Hill was 9 for 11 with 71 yards. 10 to 19 yards downfield, he was 4 out of 5 with 73 yards. 20-plus yards downfield, he was 1 for 1 for 44 yards, and he should have been 2 for 2 with 100. I don't know if you guys see what I see here, but the average depth of pass was a little bit over 10 for Taysom Hill, which is larger and is more yards than any single game Drew Brees has played this season. And that's not me dogging on Drew Brees. Obviously, he is a significantly better quarterback than Taysom Hill. But when you look at that stat alone, it shows you that this opens up a new venue for the New Orleans Saints offense. Players like Deontay Harris and Emmanuel Sanders are going to get involved heavily coming up. We saw Michael Thomas running some deep routes against the Atlanta Falcons, so that's a little bit scary for the rest of the league. Slant man will not be slant man anymore. There's a lot going into this offense, and Taysom Hill throwing 10 yards per pass at least is insane. One of those passes, the one that got taken back, it was a 65 air yard pass, because you got to count the yards behind the line of scrimmage when you look at air yards. That's insane. He has an arm that can open up a whole new meta to this New Orleans Saints offense that people have not seen in a long time. But besides that, Taysom Hill was wildly efficient. The Falcons were the perfect little piece of garbage test dummy. Not only did they let a premier special teamer Taysom Hill outperform Matt Ryan, who they call a Hall of Famer, they let Michael Thomas get into a rhythm as well, which could spell trouble for the rest of the league coming down the stretch. One thing I didn't like from the offense was the lack of runs for Alvin Kamara. There were a lot of situations where Latavius Murray was gone to on early downs rather than Alvin. I understand the prowess of Latavius Murray as a power back. He's great, but I don't agree with running him on 1st and 10. I think that's more Alvin Kamara territory, because the chance that you break out and get a big pickup is way bigger when you run with Kamara. But for 3rd and 2nd and short situations, maybe even 4th down, Latavius makes sense. I just don't like Alvin not being the one out there on 1st down. And like I said, I didn't like the amount of carries he got. He only got 13, which may sound like a lot to some of you, but Alvin Kamara is a 20-plus carry running back for sure. I don't know if it has to do with his foot that's a little bit banged up. He was on the injury report for, but he only ran 9 times against Tampa as well, and only 8 times against San Francisco. He did have good receiving games in those 2 games. Didn't catch a pass on Sunday. I don't know what that was about, but I hope we aren't straying away from his run game talents like we have in years past, because Sean Payton, I will literally punch you in the nose. But with the offense out of the way, which isn't really the main point of emphasis here, let's go ahead and look at this damn defense, dude. Oh my goodness. When you talk about the best defenses in the league, a lot of people, the Buffalo Bills, maybe the Baltimore Ravens on a good day. Maybe you can even put, I don't know, some idiots say that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers belong in that category, or the Pittsburgh Steelers. They definitely do. But you never hear anybody say anything about the New Orleans Saints, who have quietly allowed 8 points per game in their last 3 games. And they haven't been slouch games either. They played Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Matt Ryan, held them to 9. Played Nick Mullins and the San Francisco 49ers, which I guess is a little bit of a break week. But they also held Tom Brady, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, damn near everybody ever, Antonio Brown, Gronk, to 3 points. So this Saints defense has been something that we haven't seen in a very long time. We recorded 8 sacks, 2 interceptions, 7 tackles for loss, and 11 passes defended against the Atlanta Falcons yesterday. An insane statistic that came out of those 11 passes defended as well is that 5 of them came from Janoris Jenkins. He had an interception as well. Should have had a second one. He was in the running for defensive MVP yesterday, but it's impossible to give a defensive MVP, dude. We had Trey Hendrickson, who had 2 sacks. Cameron Jordan, who had 3 sacks. You had DeMario Davis, who had endless tackles. Quan Alexander, who did great as well, flying all over the field. Janoris Jenkins, who played great. Marcus Williams, who played great. T-Rob, Malcolm Jenkins, David Onyemata, who had 2 sacks that nobody talks about. This defense is deep and one of the best defenses I've seen in a long time. I'm dead serious. They've been creating turnovers now. They've been getting to the quarterback. This defensive line is absolutely ridiculous. Imagine when we get Sheldon Rankins back. This defense is ridiculous and is exactly what we needed at the exact point in time that we got it. Shout out to that defensive line. Shout out to that secondary. Shout out to those linebackers. Quan Alexander has been a fantastic addition to this defense. And if you guys want to talk about, a lot of people were saying it was a stupid trade. Kiko Alonso failed his physical with the 49ers and has been cut. Sean Payton, the finesse god. So, yeah, that's about it for the victory lap. Atlanta Falcons, you can eat my absolute... Okay, I'm not going to say that. But Atlanta Falcons, you guys took a fat L that you deserved. A lot of fans were talking trash. There were so many confident Atlanta fans for no reason. Good game to you, Slitta. You deserve to be mentioned because you took this loss to the chin like a grown man, like you should. Rise Up ATL even took it to the chin, surprisingly. And, yeah, kudos to you guys. You tried. But we still have another game to play against you guys, so my cockiness is not high because the Atlanta Falcons do tend to just bite us in the butt cheek sometimes. Thank you guys so much for watching this Monday's Victory Lap, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video. Adios.
Zero gravity falling. Like I'm jumping on a trampoline.